Hello, welcome back to the Talking Boys podcast. I say welcome back after a long summer off. Here we are, back for another campaign.
Delighted.
As is the kind of modern way, before we get stuck into the football that's kind of taking place, or the transfers, or the wheelings and dealings, it's very important to shine a little light on some of our sponsors.
You've just reminded me that we should probably say to anyone that's listening to this right now, this intro is going to be on the start of the podcast for maybe the next couple of weeks, couple of months maybe even. So for anyone that's listening, aka Daniel's dad, who that's maybe confusing it as being the same podcast over and over, it's not. This intro will finish in a minute or two, and then we'll get stuck into the latest stuff so that you're right up to date. So no one panic.
Absolutely.
Don't get the wrong one.
So as we always say, Talking Boys podcast brought to you by Ladbrokes, but we also have a couple of other key supporters that we should maybe mention.
Well, Ladbrokes are probably the biggest one first. It's great that we've got them back on for the 2018-19 season. SPFL sponsors continuing to kind of do a brilliant job of sponsoring all four leagues, and we're obviously delighted to have them on board. So we'll look to sprinkle in some odds throughout the season, and just look to point you in the right direction when it comes to betting. So if you're going to be betting with or betting on Scottish football this season, why not bet with Ladbrokes?
Make it Ladbrokes.
Why not bet with our friends? We're also sponsored by Black Rooster Peri Peri. We've got multiple shops now in Glasgow and the surrounding areas. We've got two in Glasgow, sorry, we've got one in Paisley. They're opening one up in somewhere else. We'll put them at the bottom of the podcast, but they've got 3 or 4 now. It's more than have been opened than what was initially opened when we first started being sponsored on the podcast. So if you're a big eater like I am, and you're kind of not, although you do like eating nonsense, Daniel, they're the place to go if you want to get any tasty chicken in Glasgow, and then wider around Scotland over the next year, I'd imagine, as well.
Absolutely. Anything else that we should maybe mention before we start?
If there's any other podcast sponsors out there that are interested in tying up with the one of the, would you call us one of the best Scottish football podcasts out there?
I would say the best.
Well, the best Scottish football podcast, then you can get in touch, but thanks to the sponsors that we've got at the moment.
Absolutely. And now let's get running with the show. Welcome to the Talking Boys podcast, brought to you by Ladbrokes. Here we are again. I feel like this is coming around quicker, this podcast. I feel like 5 minutes ago we did the last one. The 4th of the season, and I was saying this earlier, Scottish football might not be the best product in European sport, but it's definitely one of the most interesting. Never a dull moment.
How do you think this is, for a way to put it? Through Dave McDonald, who we obviously know well over at Ladbrokes, he describes it as, our Scottish football game might not be a la carte, but it's a damn good fry-up. Good shout, good way to put it. I thought, it'll be a sharp podcast this week. There's not really that. It won't take us too long. Let's get up the road, because it's later on a Thursday, and obviously the Celtic and Rangers games are going to be on later on in the Europa League, but you've just told me that there's that bumper plan for today, so I don't really think that's going to happen.
Just a lot to get through. I think the best place to start is Scott McKenna and Celtic's ongoing. Is it a crisis? Centre half crisis. They've flown out for this.
Yes.
Europa League tie with Sedova without Hendry, and despite saying Boyata would be welcome back, he's not gone either. So it's going to be Simunovic and Ajer. Mm-hmm. I would probably say, out of the 4 or 5 available, maybe the best 2.
Simunovic and Ajer.
I mean, Simunovic's played like a cart horse, but
look, Boyata gets his critics, and I'm one of those a lot of the time. But you can't kind of argue with the record that he's got as a Celtic defender, particularly since Rodgers came in. He has been one of the centre back pair. He's been one of a centre back pairing on a regular basis that's won games, won trophies as well. When they won the League Cup final the first time around, am I right in saying Boyata would have started that game? Possibly not. What time did we get the League Cup final at? November? Yeah, he would have probably been in the team by then. But definitely the last 5 trophies that Celtic have won, and obviously much of the Champions League success over the last 2 seasons, if you could call it success, has been with Boyata and the team. So for all that I think he's capable of throwing in a shocker every so often, I do think that he's better than Simunovic, and he looked kind of decent next to Ayer. And I think if he had been in the team over the last couple of weeks, then Celtic probably could have lined up for a qualifier in the Champions League last night or the night before, rather than being in the Europa League tonight and having lost against Hearts in the Premiership already.
Brendan Rodgers has effectively confirmed that they did bid for Scott McKenna. £3.5 million.
He didn't confirm that, but
well, he said that their interest is over, so it's kind of inferring that there was an interest.
No, of course I knew there was a bid, but man, I'm always sceptical with the fees.
Okay, well, it's rumoured to be around £3.5-4 million. It's pretty good business, I would imagine, if you're Aberdeen.
We spoke about it yesterday, and I was amazed that Aberdeen were just flat out rejected it. £3.5 million for a player like McKenna, when you consider he's only had one full season as a first team player.
There's a rumour going about the value at £10 million.
That's nonsense, man.
Although, I mean, it is nonsense. But just to play devil's advocate though, the money getting thrown about in England is so mental that I kind of feel like fair play to them for just chancing their arm. Well,
fair play to them for chancing their arm. The same as say to Hibs, that Hibs were able to hold off for such a... Well, I suppose they didn't even get it, but it was more McGinn got a good deal when he went to Aston Villa, but all the reports now are that Aston Villa paid, $2.7 million or something like that to get McGinn.
He only had a year left in his deal, didn't he?
What I would then say is just, I don't know how much Hibs would have been wanting for McGinn had he maybe had 3-4 years left on his deal.
Well, Lennon said a couple of years ago he's a £5 million player.
£5 million player, and I think McGinn had more first team experience even a couple of years ago than McKenna does now. I'm right in saying that he'd probably broke onto the international scene by then, maybe played in some competitive matches as well. And I'd just be amazed. I've watched McKenna loads of times, and I feel like he is a really good defender. He showed up really well for Scotland in his first couple of games, but I do think there's still maybe some question marks over some parts of his game, and I think they could potentially be exposed in English football. So I think they could even have potentially have got exposed at Celtic, but maybe it's the right thing for him just now, just to continue playing at Aberdeen, continue developing, get to a point where he's just far too good for Aberdeen and he needs to move elsewhere. But a little bit surprised that Aberdeen haven't went well. He's got a hamstring injury just now. He's only had one full season of first team football. Is this going to be the peak for McKenna, or are we obviously going to go and see him kick on another level and become like a kind of £5 million, £6 million or £10 million player as Aberdeen crazily rate him at? I think he's a good player, but I just think it's a big decision knocking back what would be some quality money for Aberdeen.
I think if they were to bring him in alongside an experienced kind of European centre-half, i.e. Jeffrey Bruma, who's been mentioned this week, I think he could be quite a promising player, but to sign him on his own for pretty big money in Scottish football terms, I almost feel like Celtic are just a bit lost just now. I know it's a really easy thing to say, and it's almost kind of lazy thing to say, because I'm sure he is doing work in the background, but what is Lee Congratton doing? There must be players all over the continent who fit Celtic's bill.
Did you see the stuff yesterday going around Twitter? And it looked kind of unfounded. I noticed Christian Wolf at 90 Minutes Cynic was a little bit sceptical about about this theory that Congratton has, or this belief, that Congratton has a real data-driven approach to scouting players. You know, a little bit like Damien Camoli was at Liverpool, and everyone. What was it that they used, like the Moneyball approach to signing players at Liverpool when he was in charge?
So many crosses, so they.
Yep. And apparently Congratton is supposed to be a little bit like that as well. I don't agree with a scouting. If I was a scout, I wouldn't work like that. I wouldn't work based solely on stats. But if that is the case, that he is just totally data driven in the players that he identifies and goes and signs, then I would be shocked, and I'd probably be disappointed if I was Brendan Rodgers or a Celtic fan.
I mean, Jonny Hayes, Jack Hendry, Lewis Morgan, Scott McKenna, they've not been scouted by Congratton. I mean, they're right under Rodgers' nose. I just find it odd that Celtic are there's not more talk of. I feel like they're kind of groping about in the dark, and it's getting a wee bit desperate.
Exactly, it all strikes a little bit of kind of laziness the way that they go about being linked with players Celtic. You know, McKenna being the latest one, like everyone could have identified McKenna as a potential centre back option for Celtic months ago, and only now with 9 days, or what was it, 8 days, sorry, of the transfer window remaining, is he being mentioned for a move? This is at the point where he's got a hamstring injury. Celtic needed to go and sign a centre half in the summer that could not only make them better long term, but who would immediately be able to improve them, given how important the games are at the start of the season for Celtic. But McKenna isn't that kind of centre half. Just like Hendry wasn't that kind of centre half when they signed him. Celtic have been crying out for an experienced centre half that can make an impact now, and for some reason they just can't seem to get their hands on one. Bizarre.
I can't believe they didn't take 9 million for Bata as well.
But anyway, can't believe they never took 9 million.
Aye, from the reported 9 million from Fulham. We should say just on Jeffrey Bruma, there's been quotes flying about that he says he's heard of the interest, but there's been no offer, and he's happy at Wolfsburg. So,
well, look, we're going to try and dot questions in from listeners throughout the podcast moving forward. Now, we spoke about it just beforehand, and we're on the subject obviously of Celtic's defence, but Jerboy_67 got in touch on Instagram and said, is Celtic's problems at the back solely down to a lack of recruitment, or is this also a training ground problem?
I do think that it's interesting that Swansea, Liverpool and Celtic, Rodgers hasn't been able to put together a solid defence. I think I find like the way he signs players as well, it's almost an afterthought, his defence. I'd rather sign strikers and attackers first than build from the back. So I think Rodgers has to take his fair share of the blame.
I totally agree with you as well. It's been a real problem, and Liverpool at points last season were still even feeling the effects of some of the players that Rodgers had signed in defence, and they might still feel some of the effects. Lovren, I know he just got to a World Cup semi-final with Croatia, but World Cup final with Croatia, sorry, but I still feel like he's a really ropey one for Liverpool, and then it was obviously Rodgers that went and signed him. Someone that I would have probably expected Celtic to have been linked with at some point, Ashley Williams.
He's just moved on.
No, I know he's went to Stoke, and I know he's signed on loan at Stoke, but before he went to Stoke,
I think he sent off last night.
Obviously available at some point or another, but the kind of player, 33-year-old, hugely experienced, worked with Rodgers, probably had maybe his best spell in football under Rodgers, and I just thought a signing in that sort of mould would kind of be perfect for Celtic. But it's weird, they just can't seem to see unless they play with Man City or they play in Scotland.
I know.
It seems like Celtic have a wee bit of a problem identifying good players.
Since we last spoke, we should say Brendan Rodgers was spotted at Man City Huddersfield at the weekend. I would imagine he was watching a Huddersfield player.
Do you think so?
Well, who in the Man City first team is going to be watching?
When I saw him there, though, I more put it down to maybe he's just down there to speak to Man City about players that they've got available.
Right.
And I think that's what some other people assumed as well. Man, could Celtic go and sign a Huddersfield player?
More likely than a Man City player.
Man, I know, but I don't even know if it's likely either. I think Huddersfield, the kind of money that they're probably now, given that they're in their second season as a Premier League club, the kind of money that they're going to be able to go out and spend on players and given in contracts as well, I don't think Celtic will be able to compete with that.
Well, as we say, they're in action against Sadova tonight as we record this, so by the time you're listening to this you'll probably know the result. Of course, Sadova, I hadn't realised this, but happy memories for a lot of Celtic fans. They played them obviously in the first round of the 2003 UEFA Cup. I think they beat them 8-0 at Parkhead and then 2-0 away from home. So I think they'd take a similar result tonight.
We've got another question that I've just scrolled down and noticed. It comes from Gaz Miller 03, who I think you're maybe aware of.
No, I don't know.
He said, are Celtic being ripped off by other Scottish clubs, McGinn, Hendry, McKenna, etc.?
No.
So what was the fee for Hendry? It was about 1.5 million.
I mean, when you see Hendry play, that
looks like a rip-off.
I'd be searching for the receipt. No, I mean, I did. I think I said on this podcast at the time that we'd heard from a pretty good source that what had happened with McGinn was that Hibs had said we'd rather he goes down south, so you'll need to pay a premium to Celtic. I think that is a wee bit shady. And to be honest, for all the stick he's taking, if I was Peter Lawwell, I can understand him walking away for that. In terms of McKenna, I think Aberdeen should bite the hand off 3.5 million, but they haven't. So
yeah, there's a couple of questions that have came in that similar type of note, Blair.Ruxton99, just saying who should Celtic realistically be looking to sign at centre half. I think realistically now there's probably going to be no one arriving at Celtic.
By the way, just on that, you said this earlier to me when we were chatting. You don't think Celtic will sign anyone?
Nah.
I think that would be mental.
Nah, I don't think they will.
How can they go? Like, they need to sign someone.
It's just so late.
I know.
So late, even with the English Premier League.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think it's mental that it's got to that.
What are we now? 2 weeks to the day actually since the English Premier League transfer deadline finished.
A week tomorrow it finishes, eh?
What?
Week on
the European deadline finishes a week tomorrow, something like that. But 2 weeks ago, today the English one closed, and I honestly thought like Celtic Rangers have taken advantage of it a little bit, I think, but I thought Scottish clubs would be able to take advantage more of the fact that the English deadline finished earlier. You know, they'd be able to identify and sign players that ordinarily wouldn't be interested in coming to Scottish football, but because the option of signing for an English Premier League team isn't there, they maybe feel like, yeah, let's go to Scotland, that'll be the stepping stone to go and sign for an English club in the next year, next 2 years or whatever. But it doesn't really seem like Celtic in particular anyway have made any sort of progress in that window, and I just struggle to see what they're really going to be able to do in the next 8 to 9 days. The thing is, they're not even like, Arzani was always linked, he always seemed like he was close to signing for Celtic. Who is there then beyond that? McKenna does feel like a little bit like it's just been desperation. McGinn, I definitely think that was more considered, obviously, but apart from those players, like Jeffrey Bruma, is that going to be realistic? You know, like we've got someone asking, Clyde_Dockery67, thoughts on Jeff Bruma to Celtic. Like, I'd only heard of the Jeff Bruma stuff the other day. Is there actually anything to it? Is there even a chance that, is it out of favour or available or whatever, or is it just a player that some Celtic fans think he would be a shout?
He really struggled with injury last season, and I read through Google Translate, admittedly, that Wolfsburg were quite keen to get him off the wage bill. He only played like 11 games. Apparently he's now fully fit, and he said in his own words, I've heard of interest from Celtic, so I think there probably is something in it. I did see the fee that was being banded about €7.8 million, which seems a lot, but then if they sell Boyata for around the same, then I think Rodgers would maybe insist on reinvesting it. But I mean, if they got him, I think it'd be a brilliant signing. Obviously, it came through at Chelsea. He's played with PSV. I think he's always. I remember watching a game in the qualifiers for the World Cup. Holland playing a back three with Van Dijk, Bruma, and De Vrij, who's now at Inter. And I remember, I think it was against Iceland he played. I remember just watching it one night, and he was really good. He looks like the kind of player Celtic are missing. Big, uncompromising, strong leader, experienced guy. But as we say, it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere at this point.
You would have to think that he's played with Rodgers, or he played under Rodgers while Rodgers was a youth coach at Chelsea.
Aye, that's where he knows him from, I think.
Around about that sort of time, like made his debut, looking at this, 2009, but was at Chelsea from 15.
It was Chelsea for years, eh?
So I think he's definitely, like, Rodgers will definitely be aware of him. You look at his CV, man, like, if Celtic can go and get a centre half like that for £7 million, that is a massive, like, it's worth it for the injury issues. It's not like you're going and signing Marvin Comper, who's had like a bang average career. You're going and signing a guy, 25 caps for Netherlands, played with Chelsea, Leicester, Hamburg, PSV and Wolfsburg. And you know, he played a lot of games for PSV as well. Yeah. 26.
The other one,
that is a great signing for Celtic, and definitely someone I could see signing and then going on to get a move back to the English Premier League or a bigger club if he was to stay fit.
The other one that's been, I know we talked about trying to keep this kind of short and sharp, but whilst you've got your Google open, Diego Reyes, I don't know if you've seen talk of him. He's the other one that a lot of Celtic fans seem to have talked about, and I did a story on our website for him. He's currently a free agent, having been released by, I think it was Espanyol Associate or Porto. Porto paid $7 million for him. He's got 50 caps for Mexico. He's only 25. Apparently, you know, he's played in La Liga, played for Porto. He's been linked to Newcastle and West Ham, and there's lots of Celtic fans on social media saying, look, why aren't we even approaching this guy? And it does seem odd. He's not got a bad injury record. He certainly looks, with his CV, that he would be an upgrade on Jack Hendry anyway, and probably Compart and probably Siminovic. I just think it's really weird. I think there is players out there, but Celtic aren't being linked to them, you know.
The Reyes one's total news to me.
I know, I've seen it for a while.
I had never heard of that at all.
But it seems to be driven just by Celtic fans. It doesn't. I don't think there's anything in it.
Thing is, 25 has brilliant experience. Not quite understanding why, based on the stats that I can see, he didn't play any football last season. But
he was out. I think he was loaned out somewhere and then get injured. But I mean, by all accounts, he's a really good player. And
seen the talk, mind you, that Fenerbahce are going to go and sign him. From what I seen, Marca reporting 20 hours ago that he's in the final stages of signing for Fenerbahce, travelling to Istanbul. So
frustrating, but
for Celtic.
Aye, it's a weird one.
Wait, look, are we all Celtic out here?
A wee bit. Aye. I was going to just move on there.
Okay.
Elsewhere in the transfer window, the big news of the week: Kyle's come home. Rangers re-signing Kyle Lafferty for around, I think, rumoured to be around 450k, which at that price is a bit of a bargain, I reckon.
Scott H. Houston on Instagram asked thoughts on Lafferty back to Rangers. I think it's a dynamite signing for Rangers, an absolutely dynamite signing for them. I thought it was already a good signing, but particularly now that you see Jamie Murphy yesterday picking up a ACL injury. Murphy, who had that left wing position kind of locked down, who I reckon would have maybe got 15-20 goals for Rangers this season, no problem.
Think so?
I think
20
so.
goals?
Goes and gets injured, 15-20 goals, I think, for a winger like Murphy. I think that needs to be his target.
What did he get last season?
Well, he only played for 5 months.
Did he? I only came in January.
He only played for the second half of the season, but we'll find out right now. But I'm pretty certain they got a decent return.
It's a fair point in saying that Lafferty.
He got 5 and 19.
It's fair. It's a fair point to bring up in the sense that Lafferty can play off the left, can't he?
Exactly.
So
Lafferty can play off the left. He played off the left a lot in his first spell at Rangers. He's done it with Hearts as well.
I think Lafferty off the left and Morelos through the middle would be a handful for most teams.
Well, the thing is, they've got Rangers now. I think if that had been an injury, that sort of injury, to Murphy had happened last season, it would have been a shocker for Rangers, and they could have potentially had an even worse second half of the season. But now they've got some options going forward. And Ryan Kent, who I don't know whether he's going to be an automatic starter for Rangers, but you would think that he's somebody that could go into that position and fill in for Murphy easily, or obviously Lafferty now.
Is there any prospect of Lafferty and Morelos playing up front together as a two? I've not seen Gerrard do it yet, but
I think they probably could. Like, it is possible. I know Windass was playing a lot before he got sold to Wigan. Looks like that's kind of where Arfield's going to be playing, just in behind Morelos as well. But I don't really know if Rangers need it particularly much just now. Like, there's been Celtic fans pining for Celtic to play two up front for a long time, but I don't really know if Rangers are needing it. Like, they look pretty kind of potent.
But just means you'd have to leave one on the bench. Do you know what I mean? I think
Lafferty has been signed as a rotational player. I think you would have seen Gerrard rotate Morelos a lot more in the early stages of this season had he a better backup than Umar Sadiq, who I had to laugh because we got a question in from Fet411 on Instagram, who said, does Sadiq have the potential to be the worst Old Firm striker we've ever seen? That is bold. I don't know if I would go with that, because I'm going to give you two words: Amido Balde.
I know, even there's been a few actually from both halves. Egil Ostenstad. I remember as well, Lassad Nyamuni or whatever.
I don't think he was terrible.
Oh, he was rotten.
I thought he was rotten, but I didn't think he was absolutely terrible.
Timu Pukki.
Timu Pukki was pretty awful. Balde I thought was shocking.
The king of them all, Mo Bangura.
Well, that's harsh as well.
Nah, he was rotten. For the price they paid.
I suppose for the price they paid. Anyway, there's been a lot, but from the early part of watching Sadiq, I'm not sure he's Gerrard's pick. I think that looks like it's been a recommendation from someone, and like Mark Allen sanctioned it or something like that. I think they've just went off the fact that he played, what did he play in the Serie A or Serie B, and then he obviously played with Roma's youth team, and I think he had actually a couple of games with Roma too. I think they're going more off his CV than actually seeing him play. So now I think that's what it'll be. You'll see Lafferty on the main, it'll be Lafferty and Morelos rotated, because I do think Morelos is needing that. I think he's needing that little bit of competition that Lafferty's going to give him, and I do think there's going to be some games that Lafferty's going to be better suited for than Morelos, particularly against Celtic.
Torrey Andrew Flo as well. I know. Listen, I don't think you can really argue with it being a good move for Rangers. Mm-hmm. And you can almost feel that he's going to score against Celtic at some point. What about just kind of looking at the move from Hearts' point of view. Anne Budge kind of said on the club website yesterday that they had no choice. Lafferty made it clear he wanted to go to Rangers. He didn't want to stay anymore. Today, as we speak, they are on the verge of re-signing Osman Sow, who had a terrific record for them a couple of years ago when he was there. I mean, Lafferty was really good for Hearts. I do think Hearts were really good for Lafferty, but I think everyone's kind of happy. I think everyone's got. Is that fair? Like,
no, I agree with. I think everybody is kind of fairly happy. Just total guesswork. I think they got maybe close to like $1 million for him.
Who?
For Lafferty, I think Hearts got a bit close to $1 million for him.
Its talk was 450k.
450 grand, man. Aye. That is, and his deal expires at the end of the season.
Aye.
Man, 450k.
I do think when you can sign him on a pre-contract in 4 months.
But Hearts signed him for free too, didn't they?
Aye.
So they made $500,000 profit on it.
And got 20 goals out of him.
Got 20 goals out of him. Got some big goals out of him as well. And then obviously his contract is expiring. I seen Levine speaking about it, and Levine said, look, the price is right for us. Lafferty wanted to go, but the price was right for us too, so that's how we've allowed him to go. I think it'll be a massive miss. I think the fact that they've lost him and Christophe Berra within the space of a week and a half or something like that, less than that. I think those are going to be two massive misses, and you might actually have Stephen Naismith sitting there going, bloody hell, man. I decided I wanted to come back to Hearts because I thought I was going to be playing with Lafferty for the season. I thought I was going to be playing with Berra for the season. These are guys that I've played with in the past, whether it's been at club level or internationally, and now I'm not going to be able to play with them probably for the rest of the season, at least with Berra anyway. So I worry about Hearts now. I don't think they've got as strong a spine as they maybe had at the start of the season, but going and signing Osman Sow's a good signing. Like, there's a couple of guys who have sent messages in on Instagram to us for questions. _ Jake Rennie, Osman Sow back to Hearts, discuss. Nathan Morris _ just said, how do you think Hearts will cope without Lafferty and Berra? Murray Fraser 51 just saying, will Sow be a success at Hearts again? You brought up the point rightly that, remember that season that Hearts got up from the Championship, that they romped it.
It wasn't even close for Rangers.
That was with Rangers in the league as well, and a big part of that was Osman Sow. And I remember when Sow left Hearts,
he scored the winner at Ibrox.
Went to China, I'm right in saying.
Aye.
And everyone was saying it was a big setback. I could be wrong, but I'm even sure that Osman Sow was linked to Rangers. I'm sure towards the end of his spell at Hearts. I think it's good that they're getting him back. He's obviously not done very well at MK Dons, but he was signed by Robbie Neilson at MK Dons, and Robbie Neilson obviously didn't last there very long. But I think if they can get the Sow that was at Hearts previously, if they can get that same type of player, then I think he could be brilliant for them, because he's most significantly he's a kind of Levine player. I think
he's 6'5", an absolute handful. When he last played for Hearts, he scored 22 goals in 46 games, and imagine him and Uchi up front. That's going to be tough to contend with.
They are, like, I think as long as they can get a some sort of replacement for Berra, or maybe Suter really steps up and makes it. It makes you forget all about Berra, then I think Hearts will be fine. But at centre half, I suppose there's going to be a wee bit of a problem for them, I think.
Well, we're kind of talking about Rangers and Lafferty. Neil Lennon has, not like him to drop a social grenade into things, but today in his press conference, he said that he just doesn't believe the Rangers hype, doesn't believe the Rangers hysteria. When that got brought up in our office today, you jumped in and said, I do see it. Do you think Celtic fans should be nervous?
I think so.
Think so?
I don't think there's worry. I just think Rangers are doing everything that they needed to do to give themselves the best chance of being successful this season, whereas Celtic haven't. And I think that's where the nervousness should come from. I think a lot of nervousness probably should come from the fact that Celtic haven't strengthened much, and that's something to really. It's something to be really bothered about, I think, if you're a Celtic fan. I think there'll be actually a lot of frustration, wee bit of anger among Celtic fans, but just focusing solely on Rangers, all the areas that you would have wanted Rangers to improve in on the summer, including the manager, they've improved on. And maybe if they go and get one more signing,
you want
to get a strong centre half, either someone to maybe play in front of Katic, or maybe be a backup to Katic and Goldson, then you would have to say that Rangers squad's got the potential to do something kind of special, at least with the standards of previous seasons. Maybe go and win a cup or really, really push Celtic all the way this season.
There's talk of Gareth McAuley today going to Rangers and Hearts actually as a fill-in for Berra.
Look, whoever could get McAuley, I think would be a great signing. A little bit different to, you kind of compare it maybe to Aaron Hughes when he moved to Hearts, and it hasn't really worked out for Hughes.
Or your man Clint
Hill. Well, Clint Hill, obviously, he was a pretty good signing for
over the hill.
He was a good signing for Rangers, but I would maybe say that McAuley's got a better pedigree than Hill.
Aye, definitely.
You know what, Hill maybe only had a couple of seasons in the Premier League with QPR. Rest of the time spent in lower league football, whereas McAuley has been a Premier League player for the last maybe 6-7. For as long as basically West Brom have been in the Premier League, McAuley's been
and he's
a
got
permanent.
a million caps for Northern Ireland, played at the Euros and that.
Yep. So I think McAuley could be a good signing for whoever gets him. If Rangers were to go and sign him, you would have to think that he's going to be a backup to Katic and Goldson. If Hearts go and get him, you'd expect that he would go straight into that team and fill the gap left by Berra's injury. So I like the fact that I think the managers in Scottish football on the whole, you probably have to say maybe apart from Rodgers sometimes, and particularly in the top six, like Steve Clarke, Neil Lennon, Derek McInnes, Steven Gerrard, maybe Stephen Robinson, I would say have actually had a really, like Craig Levein obviously, have had a really good summer signing wise. They've had a really good summer in terms of the players. In terms of the players they've went and signed, apart from probably Celtic, but the rest of them they've went for guys with either. Like I think Hibs, for example, like Stevie Malin, I think is a dynamite signing for Hibs. When you consider that he's still only in the under-21 squad. It was only a year ago he was signing for Barnsley after having a brilliant season for St Mirren. I think he'll be potential Scotland cap by the end of this season, being linked with moves elsewhere. I think Emerson Heinemann at Hibs has got the potential to be a dynamite signing as well.
Darryl Horgan as well.
Darryl Horgan, I think I brought it up in the podcast last week, and then he goes and scores the winner at the weekend. You look at the Kilmarnock team. I suppose losing Malumbo for Kilmarnock, and I'm getting away from the actual point, I suppose, but I just think James Wilson at Aberdeen, if Hearts go and sign Osman Sow, if they potentially go and sign somebody like McAuley, I think the top six in particular have done really well in strengthening their squads over the summer, and that's why I think it's going to be even more competitive this season.
Right, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll have a look at some more of your questions and round up this week's news.
TheTBShop.com for the best mugs, phone cases, t-shirts and prints in Scottish football. TheTBShop.com.
Welcome back to the Talking Moss podcast, brought to you by Ladbrokes. Right, have we got any more questions, Johnny, that we should address at this juncture?
Some of them are nonsense. Like, this isn't a question, but we got one in from, I don't know whether he's trying to spell or he or she's trying to spell typical, but Tyipco _ Ty just wrote lick my balls.
Excellent.
For it was a wee bit
good
harsh, to be honest with you. I think we'll maybe push this one back maybe a week or so, because I don't know when the Scotland squad's announced. I know there was a little bit of talk today about Suter having an Australian grandparent or an Australian grandmother. That was Levein putting that out and hoping to use it to get Alex McLeish-Shawnee's get him calling up the Hearts defender for his next squad. It came from Ryan Daly, who just said who deserves a Scotland call-up, who isn't a regular. We could probably discuss that when the Scotland squad actually comes out, I think. David Whitley 9 just said love talking Buzz. Thanks very much, David. _ Daniel Fuss _ says, do you think that Old Firm will do well in the Europa League if they get through the playoffs? Worth discussing. I suppose they've both got games tonight. Very quickly, do you think they'll do well? Do you think they'll both have Europe after Christmas?
So I think it's really hard to say without seeing the group. You could end up with a really boring kind of straightforward group with Vauxhall Astra and all these teams in it, or you could end up with Arsenal and bloody, Borussia Dortmund or whoever. So I need to wait and see the groups.
Okay, cool. Someone asking, and again it's going back to Celtic very quickly, Adam King 4444, what's the smallest team Rodgers would leave? What's the smallest team Rodgers would leave Celtic for?
The smallest team? I think combined Everton are like 5'9", so Sorry, I couldn't resist
Brutal
that.
pal. As a small guy, it's brutal pal.
What sort of question is that, to be honest?
I kind of get what he means. Like, do you? I do think there's obviously going to become a point where Rodgers will leave. Like, what kind of club is he going to go to next?
He was linked with Leicester the other week I saw. But I mean, Leicester just spent 100 million, so it's like, are they that small? Like, Celtic get a bigger fan base and better history, but I don't know. The horizon of British football has changed. It's been so skewed by the money in England that it's kind of tough to decipher who's a big team and who's a small team now.
Right, well, look, we've got some other questions, but I think what we're going to start talking about next, because it might be able to bring the question into the next topic.
I suppose best time to talk about Kenny Miller.
Yes, because a few questions have come in about Gary Holt, his replacement.
Gary Holt, I think just today he was appointed. Mm-hmm. Kenny Miller, I remember saying on the podcast probably a few weeks ago, I didn't really understand how the Livingston hierarchy arrived at Kenny Miller's the man for us. Mm-hmm. And it's no slight on Kenny Miller, just newly promoted. I just didn't see how he was the right choice. The rumours are that supposedly they wanted him to give up his playing career and just be a manager. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. He sees himself as still having some left in the tank. I just find it really odd, because surely that's a conversation you'd have 7 weeks ago when you first take the job. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think we know the whole story, to be honest.
I think if that is true, then it could be a decision that Miller regrets. He's 38 now, Miller. His best days are 100% behind him. You know, is he going to sign for go and sign for St Mirren and battle for safety this season? You know, maybe score 5-10 goals. Like, fair enough, it will be an achievement in itself, but it's something that will be totally alien to him, considering he's, for the most part, he's been competing for titles as a Rangers player, as a Celtic player. Fair enough, he didn't do it down in England, but definitely in Scotland anyway.
I guess I just like, once he hangs up his boots, that's it.
No, I get that once he hangs up his boots, but you know, the time is coming. I mean, if you're going to be brutally honest, the time's coming soon, and Miller must surely be thinking, like, what do I do for the next 20-30 years? And you know, he's got a job at a club that seem on their way up. Fair enough, they're not the biggest, they've not got the biggest fan base, and they obviously have had their problems in recent history, but they're in the Premiership. They've had a great story to get to the Premiership. He's signed some great players in the summer. They haven't had an absolutely horrendous start to the season, both either in the Betfred Cup or in the league. So I kind of struggle to see where, if that is the reason that he was told, like, we want you just to be a manager, then if it was me in Miller's position, I don't understand how I would go, nah, I'm not prepared to give it up. I'm going to chuck this job and I'm going to go back to playing for maybe another season or two. Because do you think Miller's going to walk into as good a job 2 seasons from now when he maybe finishes playing with St Mirren or whoever else it is that he signs for? I don't think so.
I think obviously we're speculating, but if 7 weeks ago when he got the job everyone was agreed he'd be player manager, and now they've turned around and went, actually, we're not that keen on it, I understand why he would say, well, hang on a minute, that's not what we agreed. So I don't know, it's a difficult one.
You know, if that is the case, then just come out and say that.
I think,
just make it clear.
I think they're going to drop that stone.
Do you think so?
Them and Dundee fighting out for relegation.
I think Livy have got a decentish squad. I think Gary Holt could potentially be a decent appointment, but player managers, just on the whole, I think now in modern football, I just don't think they work. I think fair enough, they worked when Graham Souness was Rangers manager, they worked when Kenny Dalglish was Liverpool player manager, but I think now it's too much, particularly for somebody like Miller just going into his first job. I just think it's a tough one, and going into the, like, Souness went into Rangers where it was a lot easier, I think, to get success. Dalglish went into Liverpool where it was probably a lot easier to get success, but going into Livingston where I do think they just need sole focus from a manager or a coach, I think that's a tough job to do while you're still continuing to be a player. And again, I just think if that is the reason, then I'm amazed that Miller hasn't thought about the next 20-30 years of management, which you could easily get if he makes a success of the job at Livy.
That is a really odd
just a mental situation. It's just Scottish football, isn't it?
Aye.
We say this about every mental story that happens, but they just crop up so often that it's definitely something in the water up here.
Talking of mental stories, Peter Hartley.
But while we're on Livy, quickly,
right? Okay.
What do you think of Gary Holt? Jack Rogerson, or JXCK Rogerson on Instagram. Do you think Gary Holt getting the Livingston job is good business from Livy? And I think we had a similar question from another fan. Liam JI26, will your man Gary Holt keep the mighty Amber machine up? You don't think so, obviously.
He was Falkirk manager previously, wasn't he? And then he walked out to
become the Norwich assistant
I don't
coach.
think it was assistant. That was the thing. I remember thinking it was a bit of a slap in the face to Falkirk.
No, I'm sure he did, because was it not when
it was like to be a Norwich coach?
Was it not when Alex Rae went down to become Norwich manager? He took over as like the assistant.
Alex Rae?
Not Alex Rae. Jesus.
Oh,
Alex Neil.
Alex Neil. I don't know, but he walked out in Falkirk, didn't he? But up to that point, take Falkirk.
I take that back. No, I take that back. Sorry. He went to be first team coach.
Aye.
Which I suppose I would always class first team coach as assistant managers, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think he did well at Falkirk from what I remember. He did take them to the semi-final of the Scottish Cup at one point, and he had them in the mix for promotion. I think it's really hard to kind of judge. He's obviously got something about him as a coach. Good luck to him, but I just kind of think the bottom six now is kind of quite cutthroat.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Livingston will have enough. I think they would certainly be in the bottom two, and I'm hoping that this year is the year I get it right, that Dundee go down with a record low number of points.
That result against Ayr last week would suggest that it's going to be a tough one for them.
I know. Right, aye, Peter Hartley and Motherwell.
Yeah.
Need to talk about. I couldn't believe what I was hearing today when he said it. The Motherwell captain. For anyone that hasn't heard it, he basically said that he and his teammates enjoyed seeing Fabio Cardozo weep with a broken nose in the Betfred Cup semi-final last season. Ryan Bowman, obviously, a challenge with Cardozo left him with a hideous looking broken nose. I remember when I first read the comments, I thought he must be it must be a poor attempt at a joke or something like that. But then there's a video going about on Twitter that I'm sure you can find.
Yeah.
And he's not. He seems quite sincere in what he's saying. He's then come out and apologised for it, but really, really poor thing to say, I think. I really out of order, in fact.
I just don't understand it. Like, Fabio Cardozo doesn't play for Rangers anymore. Well, it doesn't. I don't know what the question was that was asked to him. I don't know. Well, maybe it was, this is the first meeting of the clubs this season. Is it going to go like it went last season? Where I think, apart from maybe the first game at Fir Park where Rangers won, every other game seemed to have a real violent undercurrent to it. And maybe he was asked, do you think it's going to be along the same lines this season? And that was his response to that question. But regardless, I suppose, of what the question was, there's just no reason to say it. Would they say it if it was a broken leg? Would they say it if it was a broken ankle? If broken arm? Like, it's just kind of odd. It was a really bad injury for Cardozo. I think I'm right in saying that Cardozo missed the next few weeks as well, and he never ever probably really ever recovered from that, to be honest with you. And I just think it's a bit kind of classless to be coming out and saying that, particularly when you're the Motherwell captain and it's totally kind of unprovoked as it was.
When I was young, I was swimming in a swimming pool, and the chlorine got in my eyes.
Right.
So I closed my eyes, didn't have goggles, and I swam right into the end of the swimming pool and broke my nose. And it was absolute agony. And if someone who I didn't know, who had nothing against, was suddenly saying it was fun watching you weep with your broken nose, I'd be livid. It's just by out of order. Totally out of order.
I would have pissed myself.
Maybe we should break his nose and see if he finds it funny.
Break your nose that day.
Oh, it was agony. It was absolute agony.
Well, breaking your nose I've done it twice and it's no nice.
Aye.
Not nice at all. But it's just bizarre.
Really, really poor. Obviously, we know, as I say, he's issued an apology, Hartley, but that's Stevie G's team talk done for him, surely, you'd have thought.
Pretty much, and I think based on some of the interviews I've seen of Steven Gerrard throughout the start of his managerial career, he seems to be well aware of what's been said in the media. And
he doesn't take any prisoners, does he?
Aye, and there are a lot of guys obviously that will line up for Rangers on Sunday. They play, don't they? Who probably weren't involved in any of the games against Motherwell last season, who probably don't really know Cardozo either, but he'll just see that as like, this is what they want to see happen to us. This is what they want to see happen to our squad. This is what they want to see happen to your teammates. And now I do think Rangers have got a nastier streak to them. Going and signing Lafferty, obviously, I think raises the nastiness, raises the staunch levels in that Rangers squad. And I think there's a couple of players now in that Rangers squad that could see words like that from Hartley and think, right, well, look, if that's the way they're going to approach this game, then let's go out and make them weep.
The staunch levels are off the charts at Ibrox right
They
now.
probably are, aren't they? They've got McGregor, they've got Lafferty.
If they sign Northern Ireland's Greg McCauley as well. Is it
Gareth
McCauley. Just on Hartley, I know Cardozo's not at the club anymore.
It's Greg McCauley, the Scottish comedian.
No, it's Fred McCauley.
Fred McCauley.
If you know any Macaulays, get in touch. I know Cardozo's not at the club anymore. I know he wasn't Rangers' greatest player. But, you know, me being the hard man that I am, if I was playing against Hartley at the weekend, you'd want to lay one on him and just be like, alright, is that right? Like you say, I know he's saying it about Cardozo, but he's effectively saying, I want to see you weep, be in agony with a broken nose.
Yep. Morelos was there last season, and I'm pretty sure he would have probably been pally up with Cardozo, so wouldn't surprise me if Morelos was to maybe get a bit of retribution, a wee bit of revenge for his pal.
Peter Hartley, clown. Right, I think that brings us to the end of today's bumper podcast. Have we got any other questions to round us off on? Or by the way, I should say the questions that get sent to us on Instagram have been a big hit.
I know.
Keep them coming.
Yep, definitely. Someone asking thoughts on Thistle's attack now. I noticed that they signed Solomon Koulibaly the other day.
Well, the news today is they're not going to sign him, it looks like.
What?
Al Alai, I think that's how you pronounce it. His club in the Emirates have threatened to sue them, so they've not put it through.
But they paraded him.
No, well, apparently he's
They
not.
actually had him in the strip. Everything.
They've said if you register him as a player, we'll sue you. And
What
it's made
absolute nonsense.
Ironically, Partick Thistle sponsored by lawyers, but I mean, who knows?
That was Ryan Osmond01 who sent that question in. What's next for Kenny Miller by AJ Craig? And we've already looked at that. Guy_Thompson13. Let's end on a ridiculous one. He's just asked Celtic to be relegated.
If Leicester can win the Premier League, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. No, all questions done for this week, so keep them coming for next week's one.
Brilliant.
Which you won't potentially be on because you might be going on holiday. So
I'm going on holiday to Earthquake Island in Bali.
Think how much better this podcast is going to get with me as host.
I know.
Think about that.
I've been relegated.
Would you listen to it in Bali?
Aye, definitely.
Would you?
I listened. Like, I need to keep my finger on the pulse.
Good. There's going to be slaggings for you. We're going to have our own wee. There's going to be questions about you.
When I went and ran the New York Marathon a couple of years ago, I thought I'll listen to the podcast. Maybe there'll be a nice message for me, and it was just abuse.
I think it probably was abuse.
Aye, it was. Right. Well, that brings us to the end. As I say, thanks for all your questions. You can find us Talking Boys on Instagram, Facebook, and TalkingBoys.com on Twitter. We'll be back next week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Cheers.
Banging on your